Hey, what's up guys? Brandon Wong here, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through a series of AI and automation tools that I use in my syndication business. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm just going to go write down a list that I have. The first tool is called ClickUp. So this is pretty awesome for operations, project management, both before you buy a property and after. And so from an apartment syndicator standpoint, or any syndication for that matter, there's typically a level of due diligence that goes into it that is usually pretty exhaustive. You want to collect different bits of information and piece together a picture of where the property is and where you can take it. So as you can see, I actually have, it looks kind of like a checklist here, but on the right side, this is called a Gantt chart. And what this does is it just makes it easier for you to collaborate with your team, assign different tasks to different people, put deadlines on things, and have a flexible deadline. So if something changes, there are what are called dependencies. So for instance, if your LOI is not accepted, you're probably not going to be finalizing a PSA. If you haven't finalized a PSA, you're probably not going to go apply for the loan, and etc. So what we've done is we've collaborated with a number of different very experienced syndicators and come up with a checklist with a series of deadlines to make sure that you don't miss anything during your acquisition process and due diligence. So once a property passes through due diligence, you can see it passes over to submitting an LOI. And the beauty of this is you can actually have a VA or somebody on your team that can complete these level one analyses and then provide a check off. So whenever they're done, they can check it off, and then you get a notification that it's ready for maybe a level 2 or it needs a further look. So as we go down, you can see the entire process is outlined, everything from the initial due diligence all the way to closing. And these are dynamic timelines, so if you change a dependency, it will push any of the dependent tasks forward as well. And you can create what are called SOPs. So we've got an SOP library. This is something, and there's actually more of them, but they're not listed here. But it's a standard way of actually building and doing a process, like completing a project. So whether it is a unit renovations or reminders on an annual basis to shop your contracts, things like that, you can have an item in here so that nothing gets missed. This becomes particularly important as you scale your business and you acquire more properties. I've actually done some consulting for a client of mine he has 9 properties in his portfolio, and ClickUp's been a real game changer for him. So you have different views. You can have things in list view, in board view. It's just presenting the information to you in a different way. And it does come with a mobile app so that you can actually manage these projects while you're on the go. You can have different spaces. Spaces are like companies, or say like properties, and each one can have its own fold. It's essentially like a space inside of the system that contains subfolders, and then the folders could be your operations, marketing, financial, all that fun stuff. It really depends on how you want to organize it, but I believe it can go like 5 or 6 levels deep. So you can have tasks. So like the marketing task can have subtasks. See how there's different subtasks of building a PowerPoint, getting drone footage, that sort of thing. So, and then each task can have bullet points inside of there, like subtasks and action items. So one of the things that ClickUp has done recently is they started implementing AI. So let's go in here and add a project. I'm going to create one here, and we'll say complete unit renovation. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and then you can actually write the project with AI, and it'll actually do a decent job. So if I click on that, a complete step-by-step renovation of a unit in my apartment complex. And then you can tinker with the tone of voice and creativity, but I'm going to go ahead and click generate. And it does a decent job. It's like, design your layout, getting permits, make sure you don't get in trouble with the city. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but you'll want to come in and modify it as you need. But if you like it, you can turn it into a project. So instead of going into ChatGPT, designing it there, and then importing it, what is this? Insert. Okay. And now you've got a complete guide in there. So just an example of using AI in this particular context within ClickUp. Pretty neat. And then you have different stages so that whatever project you're working on can have different levels of completion, whether it be pending to do, you're working on it, you're obtaining bids, that sort of thing, and then in progress and complete. You can really customize and design this however you like. So that is ClickUp in a nutshell. I use it for all of my businesses. It helps me keep track of things. It's like a checklist on steroids, and I highly recommend using ClickUp. So on to the next tool is, let's see, G Suite. We don't really need to go into that. It's just basically Google is a replacement for Microsoft Word. It's all cloud-based, and you can collaborate through it. I always use Google whenever I can, the G Suite. Zoom doesn't really need any explanation. They do have a feature now, like a note-taking assistant that can document the meeting for you and transcribe everything. However, there is a different tool on here which I feel is superior that augments Zoom, which is otter.ai. So let me pull up Otter. So what it does is you can invite it to a Zoom call or a Google Meets or I believe the Microsoft version of that. It can actually come to the meeting on your behalf. So if you have to be in more than one place at a time, you have to be on 2 different Zoom calls, you can send Otter. If you're using the business plan, I believe you can send it into another meeting on your behalf, and it will record everything, transcribe it. It will give you a summary outline of what the meeting was about, and then give you specific action items that were given during the meeting. And then you can share that out with everybody who had attended that meeting. So it's very handy. It's almost like having your own little assistant with you, taking notes, creating follow-up action items, and all that fun stuff. So it does an audio recording, and then it takes snapshots of the screen share when somebody's sharing the screen. And then that way you can come and take a look after the fact. So that is otter.ai, and that's why I like it so much. Onlinejobs.ph is basically a website that you sign up for a profile as a hirer, somebody who's hiring. You can post a job, and then you'll get 100 or so applicants depending on the job that you're putting out there. And I think it's just a monthly fee, so you don't once you hire your VA, you probably don't need it anymore. But this has been a great way to find VAs in the Philippines. It's kind of like a LinkedIn, but in the Philippines. And I have a virtual assistant that's been with me almost 5 years, and I found her through this platform. So pretty awesome. LastPass. This one, if you are tired of resetting your password and coming up with complex passwords, what it does is it acts like a vault where you can put all of your logins into it. And then you protect it with a really strong password, but that's the only password you really need to remember. So whenever you log into it, you now have access. So when you're going to log into something, let me go to like Wells Fargo. This little red thing will appear, this icon, and you can click on it, and then you can click on the user. So it's you can click on the login, and it will populate it, and then you can log yourself in. What's really cool about LastPass is that, and the same thing with RoboForms, I actually use both technologies, but what it does is it allows you to share logins with people, whether it be an assistant or another partner, and it doesn't actually share the username and password. It just gives them a file from LastPass that allows them to log in. So the power of that is that you can revoke that access at any time, and then they don't have the ability to log in to that platform anymore. It securely puts it into the into the field here. And then when they sign on, this is all they see is these dots. So I use that for my VA all the time. You do have to have another subscription for them so that they can receive that. But it's really good from a business security standpoint. And you can have it generate really, really strong passwords. So if I click over here and I go to generator, I could say I want a 59 character long random password, and it will generate it. You just copy it and paste it in, and you are good to go. So that is LastPass. Very important, particularly if you are tired of forgetting your passwords, having to reset them, and if you want to share them with other people. So ExpressVPN is a tool that I use. This is a virtual private network. What it allows me to do is I can have my VA sign in as if she is in Dallas. I could have her connect to the VPN so that whenever she goes to log into my Facebook or my LinkedIn, it actually appears that she's in that location rather than in the Philippines. So that's very important because some of the sites don't like you signing in from other countries. And so this is a way to sort of circumvent that and prevent Facebook from locking your account or something to that effect. It's not foolproof 100%, but it does create what is referred to as an encrypted tunnel into a network inside of the target location. So it is a more secure way of browsing because it's not disclosing your public IP address. And if you combine this with maybe having a second laptop or a second computer that your VA can remote into, that is a more foolproof version of the countermeasures that Facebook has around logging in from a different location. So that is ExpressVPN. Highly recommend using something like this, some type of VPN when you're using a public Wi-Fi, like at an airport or a coffee shop. It does hit your speed a little bit, but it is a safer way of browsing because there are a lot of people that would like to capture your bank information and other things from a public Wi-Fi. Next up, Texan Registered Agent. This isn't really a software tool. This is just a really cool website that allows me to get all of my mail delivered into a virtual mailbox. And what they do is they'll scan it, and then they will send me a message that I have a file ready for viewing. And that way, if you're traveling a lot, if you prefer not to use your private home address on your public correspondence, then you can have a professional, I think that was it, Texas Registered Agent. You can have a professional address that will receive your mail for you. They'll auto discard all of the spam mail. I remember using UPS, a UPS box a while back for my business. And I would go in once a month and it would just be jam-packed with garbage spam mail. And that was really irritating, and it was inconvenient to have to go down to go get my mail. I'd much rather have it opened, scanned, and sent to me. And then if I want a physical copy, I can click on, request it, and they'll mail it to me. So most things can be handled virtually though. This website offers a ton of other things. They're also my registered agent. They're my mailbox. I think they have a phone service. So it's a lot of different business services, and they'll actually handle some of your registration and stuff for you, like setting up an LLC. I only use it for the mailbox and the registered agency. But if that other stuff sounds interesting to you, then check them out. But Texas Registered Agent, I do believe they operate in other states. I have set up Wyoming LLCs using their service, and they do registered agency, and I think it's all 50 states. This is just probably one of the domains that they own is texasregisteredagent.com. And so check them out. Next up is Loom. Loom is a screen recording software. So I can click and I can record my screen. It'll have a little picture of me right here. And then if I'm troubleshooting or I have an issue, I can record it on Loom, and it's 10 times easier for the other person to understand what the problem is if you just record yourself going through the problem. Or if you have a question, or your assistant or your VA has a question, they can Loom record it, send it to you, and it's much easier than trying to type it out in email or text and try to figure out what's going on. It's also very valuable for building a video training series. So almost my entire video training library for my assistants, for the training that I sell, is done in Loom. It is a little more personalized. I like having a little picture of the person talking here, but that's a great way to build SOPs, standard operating procedures. So I can go through a process once, have it recorded, give that to my assistant, and then she will build an SOP and ClickUp for me. So that's super useful, and it's really inexpensive. It records everything in the cloud, and it'll give you a little link that you can share with anybody very quickly. So highly recommend Loom. That is a tried and true technology. Next up is Cashflow Portal. So Cashflow Portal is the portal that we use for our properties. We are also on Syndication Pro on one of our LP deals, but this is what I use primarily for having investors sign PPM documents, having them register in a secure portal where they can get wire instructions, sending distributions. I believe you can hook it up to ACH so that you can actually have it send out distributions for you. And their onboarding team is great. Their support is great. And so this is a platform I use pretty heavily, not necessarily for marketing, but for tracking and managing distributions and providing my investors a place they can log in to get K1s and make sure that everything works or everything with the deal is going forward. And I can send my monthly financial and operational update emails through this system. Some people use it partially for their marketing, but I'm going to be talking about another tool that is a little bit more focused on that top of funnel marketing and automation. So I believe they charge per deal with this system, and it's tied to the amount that you're raising. So just something to consider. It is going to be an expense of a deal, so it is something you want to factor into your budget. It's not that much, so it's worth what they're offering in exchange. So Cashflow Portal is awesome. Syndication Pro is pretty good too. And AppFolio, I believe, is another one that does something similar. But just pick and choose. You do need to have some type of digital dashboard in the back end. Gone are the days of faxing and wet signature in most cases. You don't really want to put your investors through that. You want to have them be able to come in, register, e-sign the documents, send a wire, and be done. The easier you can make it, and the more you can reduce friction in the process, the better it's going to be for you. So this is Cashflow Portal. The next step is a cool, what's called a Chrome extension. It's called Video Speed Controller. So this little red thing you see right here is Video Speed Controller. So if I pull up a YouTube video, you can see there's this little 1 right here. If I push play on it,
in it, you'll likely
and
know
then
it
I push
already, but I'm going to show
D,
you the percent of the eclipse
I can
that
speed it up as fast as I want.
No matter where you're tuning in from. Then I'm going to break down some things that you may not know happen.
So it's at 2x right now.
Really, really cool. It's something to look for in addition to the main event, that diamond ring effect, the sun's atmosphere, the corona. So stick around for that. I think it's really, really cool.
And so this little control shows up on pretty much every single video that you're watching on the internet. So if you want to 2x or 3x your way through a training video, if it's not super high priority but you want to listen to it, then you can speed through video a little bit easier than coming in here and clicking over here and then clicking on playback speed and then picking your speed. With this one, you just push D, or you could push S to slow it back down.
This is going to be awesome to show.
Or you want to slow something way down.
Path perspective.
So
you know the exact time.
Pretty cool. Just Video Speed Controller. It's a free extension. Next up is a piece of technology that I use for creating content. It is a gimbal, which is basically a stabilizing tool that allows you to put your phone in it, and then you can visit a property. You can talk while you're walking and recording. Just make sure you pair it with some type of lapel mic so that you get good audio, because people will not tolerate bad audio. They will click off of your video pretty quickly if your audio sucks. One thing I learned about this is that it is telescopic. So like this little piece right here, it pops out like a foot. It's got a telescopic extension. It doesn't make that really clear in this initial part. But if you look over here, built-in extension rod, it's a really neat tool, and it passes muster on the fake spot test. This one's not really on the list, but I use this tool called Fake Spot. And what it does is it creates this little analysis that checks the reviews for fake reviews, and it will give it a score of A, B, C, D, or F, depending on how fake the reviews are. And so this one does pretty good at B, and it's relatively inexpensive. I bought a cheaper one before, but I just wasn't really happy with it. So I ended up buying this one as well, and I like it much better. So it will stabilize your videos and increase the quality of your video content. Next up is Whimsical. So Whimsical is a tool that I use in concert with ClickUp, but I use it primarily for like brainstorming business ideas. If I could find this thing, or Whimsical. I use it for outlining processes and visualizing information so that it's easy for me to present to people and to walk them through and tell the story of how a project works. And so it's very clean, very detailed, and you can put video, you can put pretty much whatever you want in there. It just makes everything easy to follow. And when I'm on a call with somebody, if we're exchanging an idea, then I will actually map it out. And that way I have something concrete we can come back to and look at. What I like to do is you'll sit down with my team and we'll design a process. That's just the way my brain works. I like to visualize. I like to see the way things flow. Because if you can outline it here, it's reproducible and it's scalable, and it can likely be automated. So this is a very cool tool to be able to do that. So like you can see here is a yes/no workflow. So your LOI is accepted, your pitch deck is started, your SEC attorney is retained. You send out your initial text and email to your investor database. If they're interested in being involved, they go this way. If they're not, they go this way, and so on. And then you've got all these operational steps, marketing steps in purple, financial steps in green, and start to finish. That's an entire syndication workflow. So speaking of workflows, on the marketing side of things, the next tool I wanted to share with you is Smart Syndicator. So this is actually my software. It is a white labeled software built on top of GHL. So it has all the power and function of GHL. However, all of it's been built and tailored for syndicators. So everything from our marketing content, our email templates, our SMS templates, all of our automations, they're built with a syndicator in mind. And you can see it replaces a ton of different software. It's a CRM, it's a email manager, so you don't need like ConvertKit or anything like that, or ActiveCampaign anymore. HubSpot, it'll do two-way texting, phone calls. There's a digital QR code with a full automation built out behind it. Calendar bookings, so you don't need Calendly anymore. Website builders, you don't need Wix or WordPress anymore, or GoDaddy. Hosting, you don't need that. Landing pages, you don't need ClickUp if you're going to build a custom landing page. All of your social media posting can be automated through the social planner. And there is a full video training series that comes with this, as well as a weekly mastermind, both on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the Tuesday one is for marketing concepts, bringing in subject matter experts so you can learn the capital raising aspect, as well as some of the operations. We're just not super focused on operations. There are other more qualified people to teach that. And then on the Thursday calls, we do tech office hours. So if you're not able to get your issue resolved through our 24/7 chat, you can come on the Zoom call and ask your questions there in a group setting. And it is a replacement for all of these things. So by eliminating all the software, it's instead of paying $653 a month to get this level of functionality, it's just $297 a month. So that is Smart Syndicator. It's just a fully consolidated automation tool for syndicators on the marketing side of things. The next tool is what we've probably already heard of it, ChatGPT. So this is a fun one because what I can do is I can come straight in here. I can go pull a T12 from my property. So I'm going to do that now. All I'm doing is copy and pasting. Copy. Okay, and then I'm going to say, you are an experienced CFO in the multifamily space. Please analyze this T12 and give me a summary of the property's key trends and any anomalies. Look for ways to make improvements in operations, in performance. I spelled anomalies wrong. By increasing income and decreasing expenses. Okay, so there's the prompt. And then I paste in my T12. If you see a little picture like this, you'll want to click this X to remove that because it may confuse ChatGPT. Just have it look at this data. And then I'm going to hit enter. And let's see what it comes up with. Oh, and let me close out Loom. Okay. You can also do this with a rent roll. You can use this to organize data the way you want it to and export an Excel file for you, which is extremely useful. Like, for instance, if you're scrubbing an investor list and the data is just all over the place, it's a mess. At least it's, if it's consistent and there's still, first name, last name, email, and phone number, you can upload the file, have it tease out the information that you want, and then organize it into a nice, neat Excel spreadsheet for you. So you can see it's pretty detailed. I mean, it saw a slight declining GPR from September to December. Gain loss to lease significantly improved over the year. So we've been burning off our loss to lease. Concession and bad debt write-off have fluctuations with a noticeable spike in October. This suggests potential issues with tenant credit quality during that period. So it's a very smart, very intelligent way of looking at your T12 and getting some ideas around, what areas you can improve. Some of it's obvious, some of it not so much. Contract services, review contracts for landscaping, pest control, bulk services annually to negotiate better rates. So that's a good solid piece of advice right there, and you can say elaborate, please elaborate on one of these. So enhance ancillary income, amenity fees such as pet rent, application late fees, decrease bad debt. Let's say elaborate. Please elaborate on number one of increasing income. Just have a really candid conversation with it. See, it'll get pretty detailed. Another really cool feature, and I'm just going to go ahead and stop it so it doesn't go on. Oh, I think it's done. So we can say, please graph the NOI performance with income and expenses over time. Create on a black background with pastel colors. The T12 NOI performance. So you can use it to generate graphics and images that you can put into your investor updates. You can use it just for your own personal reference. But I love combining the two technologies. This used to be a different system you had to log into called Dolly, but now it's all integrated into one place. And you can just make adjustments as you see fit. It's going, it's going. While that's still analyzing, another application of this is you can have it write your ebooks for you. I actually did a separate training, comprehensive training on how to build lead magnets and things that you can put out on your website. You can put them on your Facebook ads to make your offer more interesting and more likely for people to opt into it. And I talked about creating custom GPTs. So you can have it write in your own personal manner. So if I go in here, I've got one that I built for myself, and it is done with the graph. So here's the T12 NOI performance. We did see a spike in at the end of 22 because we were paid by, I believe, Spectrum for signing a contract with them to be able to offer internet to our tenants. So there was a spike in NOI that month. But you can basically get a hold on the big picture here, and then I believe the last month is distorted because we didn't have complete data when I generated that T12 for that last month. But you get the idea. So it's pretty handy. You can build graphics. You can get a pretty in-depth analysis of your T12 just by dropping and copy and pasting the raw numbers in there with a simple prompt. And let me show you how I like to use it to write blog articles. So if I go over here and I go to My GPTs, you can create a new one. I've got one right here that writes in my style. I basically fed it a bunch of articles that I wrote in the past, and I said, study the way these are written and build a personal style around the way I write. So let me just go over here. I forgot I hit the wrong button. So this little edit GPT, and it basically explains what it is that I'm looking for. So your primary function is to take existing content, so I can feed it news articles. I can give it other articles that I just find interesting, rewrite and synthesize them in a way that I would. And it's funny, they came up with this word. I didn't come up with that. Brandon-esque. Give a Brandon-esque distinction to the material. And then I want it SEO optimized. I want meta tags, descriptions, slugs, and all that stuff. So what I can do is come in here. Let me actually go into my GPT, and then let me pull up a news article on bonus depreciation news. And obviously you want to read these things. You want to read what it comes up with before you post it, because sometimes it's a little wonky and it'll make you look kind of goofy if you don't read and edit some things first. So it's not perfect, but so in Brandon style, please write. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. So I like to have it take my mastermind called transcripts and learn more off of that, because it's also the way I talk, not just the way I write. I'm trying to have it be able to emulate me as much as possible so that I don't have to spend a ton of time coming up with new content. I can just run it through here, clean it up, make sure it does have my actual voice, and then use it. So please write a blog article in my style, in Brandon's style, this news article about bonus depreciation. So that's not really the way I write right there, juicy bit. So some things you need to go in and edit out and clean up. But it does a decent job. It explains what the article is about. I've already read this article. There's, as of this recording, we're talking about renewing or passing a bill that gives us back 100% bonus depreciation, which is very handy for apartment investors and syndicators. So I think this is the end of the article. The the blog article that it wrote for me. Visuals and more. So this is just giving us an idea of what kind of image we can use with it and have it generate. Because I don't have an infographic, so I may just delete that out, visuals and more. But here's the bottom line, and then some FAQs. So pretty cool. It's it's getting smarter every day. Some people are scared about that. I'm excited that it's going to make me have to do less work. And I'm just a sucker for new technology. So that's ChatGPT, and a couple ways you can leverage that as a syndicator. Payment processing, I use Stripe. Bookkeeping and accounting, I use QuickBooks Online Pro. We're not going to go into those because there's not a lot of automation going on there. Canva is pretty cool. So you can use Canva to build flyers for your deal. You can build flyers for the property itself once you've acquired it, or have your property manager use it to take these templates and update them. Maybe not this template because this is actually for raising capital, but you kind of get the idea. It's a very robust graphics tool that you can use to build QR codes. You can do some animations and videos in it as well. And you can build your logo. So there's a lot of different applications of Canva, and it is free to use. I have the paid version because I wanted a little bit more a little more robust feature set. But you can get away with the free version, for quite a while. So this is Canva, pretty popular tool. Now Opus Pro, Opus Clip is a tool that I use. I basically drop in a 30-minute or an hour-long video or a mastermind call or something, and then it spits out like shorts, reels, and things like that, 60-second snippets. You can make them longer if you want, but for instance, this is one that I had it generate, and it does all the stuff that I used to have to pay a video person to do.
That are just crushing it in their space with a different asset class, and have them give classes to the veterans, maybe the other veterans.
So you can see it pans in on me because I was talking. It pans in on whoever's talking. It does its best to center them in the video, and then it will put these captions over it that you can customize and edit that. But this is that really cool effect that you see on those Facebook videos of like say somebody like Alex Hormozy or some other big names out there. They have these really cool professional looking videos. It create a bunch of them and it assigns a score to it. So it will tell you which ones it think will get the most engagement, and then just snippets that it takes out of it. And if you don't like the part that it took, then you can edit it. Oh, the current one's outdated, but you can edit it and you can tell it which words you want to highlight, which ones you even want to have in there, and you can sort of splice the video the way you want it that way. Pretty cool. And then it gets progressively lower scores over time of the videos that it makes. So you can just really pick the best one that you think will work, make your small edits, download it, and then you can post it on social media. So it's a pretty straightforward tool. It might take 20 or 30 minutes to process the video and come up with these shorts, but this is a huge time saver for me. So I struggled for a while trying to get I had hired a new VA for this purpose, and it was a struggle just to get one of these done in like a day. Whereas this thing spits out over 20 of them in 30 minutes, and it does a pretty decent job. So pretty cool bit of software. It's called Opus Clip, and it uses AI to edit and caption your videos for you. And that's basically it. There's Make, but that's not really something that most people use. It's sort of like a power users use this, but what it does is it lets you take different systems and make them talk to each other. Let me pull up a scenario here. Here's one. So this is a conference that I put on for my Veterans in Real Estate Summit. And you can see basically it's a webhook from here into our the back end of our system, which is powered by GHL lead connector. So it made two systems talk to each other. That's probably not the best example. Let me back out of there. Let me go into my onboarding process. This one's a little more robust. So when somebody signs up for Smart Syndicator, our onboarding team gets instructions in ClickUp. They get the A2P instructions in ClickUp. That's just a registration that needs to take place to send text messages. A folder gets created for them in our Google Drive. They get invited to our mastermind call, etc. So all this happens on the back end. A lot of these systems are unlike each other. They've built the system in a way it's very similar to Zapier, that it can make two unlike systems talk to each other and make automation happen in the background. So this is a very cool tool that I've used, and I'm starting to experiment with how to get it to interact with ChatGPT or with OpenAI, and get it to give formulated responses based on the way AI functions. So there can be a request, it goes into OpenAI, it comes back out as certain information, and then it goes to where I want it to go. So those are a series of tools and a quick walkthrough of how there are different use cases for each tool for you as a syndicator. And hopefully this makes your life easier. If you have questions, I'll put a link in the description below for our Facebook group, and check out our website, smartsyndicator.com. And hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.